world, etc. And you'll probably last 2 years in your current kidney, and then we'll, try to get you a transplant. But there's a 6-year waiting list in Australia and lots of other complications, or you can try to delay it. So I suppose it was a hard decision because I loved working in corporate. I loved, that whole environment. And I also loved cycling. I was riding about 500 Ks a week back then. And, so my two things that I sort of loved, I gave up. But then I realized what I really loved, and that was my family. So in a way, it was probably one of the biggest gifts I was ever given. People used to say, oh, you've been dealt bad cards. I'm like, yes, but actually it helped me completely change my life and spend more time with my family, and now help solopreneurs around the world. So, it was a silver lining now, but at the time, it was hard to sort of give up two things that I thought were my identity, which proved not to be the case.
Well, I mean, that's a hell of a wake-up call. I mean, so let me understand this. You were cycling 500 kilometers per week. Is that what you said?
Yes.
That's like over 300 miles a week.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a bit of an addiction.
That's amazing. Well, good for you. So what are you doing now for exercise?
Look, I've got a mountain bike that's powered, an electric mountain bike. So I do a little bit of riding, and I've got into tennis and golf. So they're the things that now keep me entertained. But with the drugs that I take for the kidney transplant, you can't go in the sun, or it's advised not to. There's about a 90% chance of melanoma. So I've really got to make sure that I'm doing sporting activities that aren't directly related to the sun. And cycling's not a great one. Spending 100 and 120 Ks out in the sun is not advisable.
Yeah, that makes sense. And your kids you mentioned 7, 8, and 15. Is that correct?
No, 17 and 15.
So the age of your kids is what again, though?
Yeah, 17 and 15. Yeah, and actually, 15. I've got a 9-year-old, and it's our furry kid, which is our third one, which is our dog.
Oh, very cool. Your furry kid. Got it. Got it. Okay. And so those are some great ages to be able to play tennis, golf, biking. So are you out there?
Yeah. Well, look, if you could imagine, picture what an Australian 15-year-old looks like, and you've probably got, long blonde hair, surfy kid. That's what my son looks like. So every minute he gets, I take him down the surf. So, he loves to do that. And my daughter loves playing AFL, which is Australian football, which is, unique to Australia. And she loves playing that. So, yeah, it's great to be part of their sport. I coach their sport teams, and, it's great. Sport is such a central part, I suppose, the family and the culture over here.
And what is that sport called? I haven't heard of that before.
So it's called Australian football. So it's called AFL, it's Australian Football League.
Got it. AFL. Got it. Australian Football League. Is that
yes.
Correct? Okay, got it. And how is that different from regular football? Or I shouldn't say regular. I should say Western.
Yeah, NFL or soccer. Yeah. Look, it's if you've ever watched Gaelic football, it's probably as close to Gaelic football, but it's the key difference is that it's a lot more free flowing. So it's like soccer, but you use your all of your body. So you're allowed to kick it, you're allowed to use your hands, etc. So it's a sort of a faster version of soccer. That's probably the best way to describe it. But just go on YouTube and have a look at the game. It's quite amazing game. But obviously, I'm very parochial coming from Australia.
Got it. It's just another reminder how we Americans just screwed up on that football word.
Yeah, well, still, when we say football here, it could mean 3 codes. It could mean rugby, soccer, or AFL. So it depends where you live in Australia. You'll determine football to be a different thing.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. So my understanding, someone once mentioned this, that Australian rugby is actually one of the most aggressive forms of rugby that's out there. Is that true?
Yes. We play, there's 2 codes. So there's union and league. And league is, very aggressive. So think of, gridiron without the gridiron that goes the whole time without all the stoppages, and no pads, no helmet. That's effectively rugby league. Got
it. Okay. Wow. Incredible. So you got a kidney transplant. And there was a 6-year wait. How'd you pull that one off?
Yeah, well, So if you go on the list here at 6 years, 6 to 8 years, I tested, my wife got tested. It was about a 6-month process and unfortunately didn't pass because of hypertension. And then I've got 6 mates that I do anything for. I keep a list. I read it every day. I call them, etc. And all 6 of them actually stuck their hand up. But I think it was one of those classic things where, there's 6 of them in a line and then everyone steps back and there's one guy still there. And that turned out to be Brendan. And so he said, look, I'll do it, but I don't want any fanfare. I don't want to be the hero in this story, but I'll give you a kidney and that's it. And I didn't know, but he went through all the tests and he's basically nearly a perfect match. So the way you sort of view that is that he was out in 2 days and I was out in 4 days from having a kidney transplant, which is, a record that rarely happens. So the match was fantastic. And, I've had a little complications, but other than that, it's been brilliant. So, yeah, like 30 years ago, I met a guy through, I basically bribed him to be a mate with golf tickets. I saved his life in 99, just before my marriage, because he was drowning in the ocean. And, lo and behold, he's extended my life now in 2019 with a kidney.
That's incredible, God. That gives new meaning to the idea of a best mate. Here's an organ. I happen to have another one, and I technically only need one, but I'm going to give this to you. That's incredible. You saved his life. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, the reason I saved his life is because he was one of my groomsmen in my wedding party, and I couldn't really find another with its short notice. Like, how do you find another groomsman in 2 days? So I thought, hey, we were basically about a K offshore. And he said, I can't get back. I can't swim. I'm gone. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, we'll get you back. So, I basically brought him back. So whether he would have drowned or not, I don't know. But he was telling me that he was in a lot of trouble. So, I'm not the muscliest guy, but I sort of summoned all my courage to get him back to shore. And, he was a groomsman in my wedding party. And, the rest is history.
Wow. Well, if you can ride 300 miles on a bike per week, I think you're above average. So, and if you're still riding now, very impressive. So kudos to you. That's an amazing story. Very inspirational. Love that. Talk to me about Build, Live, Give.
Yeah. So Build, Live, Give came out of my journey. So obviously I left because of my health that we've talked about. And I really struggled to build my own business. I wanted to run a business from a hospital bed. That was sort of my journey. So I wanted to have something that was location independent. It was, basically, fitted my lifestyle. And for 5 years, I really struggled. I got, if having a successful business is like being on a major highway or a freeway, what do you call them over there? Highways?
Highways, freeways.
Okay.
Where I live, bumper to bumper traffic.
Yeah. Well, let's just hypothesize that you might be doing, 80 mile an hour, or that's what you want to keep doing. But I just got off on so many detours. They were dead ends. They set me back the wrong way. I just did so many things that weren't right. And going through that journey, and I got a really good mentor in around 2016. I completely changed my business model because by then my health was getting, a lot more closer to kidney failure. And I just came up with 5 things that I wish I had have done. And that's now become the centerpiece of what I do. So the first one is personal effectiveness, because if you run your own business, time is the most critical thing. So how do you do that? The next is picking your ideal client and making sure that is right. The third is your business model, and where possible, get a subscription-based business model so you're not constantly churning and burning. The fourth is around sales focus. So if you're not the front and selling your business, if you don't have an offer that converts, you won't be successful. And the last one is a high-performing team. So you can, once you build up all this demand, you're not a slave to your business, and you actually run a business, not a job. So those 5 things, we have a methodology, and now I teach people to do that so they can then live, which is, work 30, 40 hours.
With Dubb, you can easily send your business videos from Gmail, LinkedIn, CRMs, and so many more places, but you don't have to take my word for it.
Absolutely perfect.
Screen records, landing pages that can really help businesses to grow.